Okay, so how do we get to a strict ring muscle up? We need two things. We need a false grip and we need to be able to do a strict chest to bar, right? So we can use that to build our training segments for days like today. So most athletes are used to a ring row. Fingers go on the ring. A false grip, I'm gonna slide and put my whole palm onto the ring, right? So regular grip, false grip. What I wanna be able to do in a false grip ring row is I wanna be able to, no matter how far I walk back, I wanna be able to grab my false grip, put my knuckles together, and then choke my elbows in. Now what I can do is I can create tension on the rings to practice extending my false grip and bringing myself back up in a false grip ring row. And that is training exercise number one. All right, so training exercise number one, we learned that fingers on top is a regular ring row and that palm on top is a false grip. And we start with our false grip ring rows. So to progress, what we wanna do is we wanna stay at this high angle and we wanna start working on our transition muscles in our lats, shoulders, and upper back in our muscle up. So we're gonna grab that false grip again. Again, knuckles face, palm on top, knuckles face, elbows tucked in, and we're gonna lean ourselves back. Now I'm maintaining a nice tight rigid body line. I wanna pull in and I wanna start practicing my transition. I'm not trying to do a dip, so it doesn't matter that my elbows are behind me, right? And I can even go to a more extreme angle, right? If I need athletes to be more deloaded. I can simply maintain that rigid line, do my ring row, and start to turn over the rings. All I wanna do is start to build that pull and turn of the rings. That's exercise number two. All right, so we talked about the rings already. We started to build that false grip ring row, and we started to build that false grip transition, right? Really what we care about in the first part of exercise 1 and 2 is maintaining the false grip and working towards a full linked arm with the false grip. Next, we need the pull-up strength. So we said the pull-up that we want to be able to do is a chest to bar, right? We all know how to do our toenail chest to bars. But what we really want to start practicing is we want to get that grip on top for a false grip, right? So the way we enable our hand to be able to hold on top of the pull-up bar is we need a pair of balls that we can grip nice and firmly against the pull-up bar. And from here, we can pull in tight to our false grip and drive up into practicing that false grip with our balls. That's exercise number 3. All right, exercise number 4 is our take-home exercise, right? What we've done now is we transition athletes. They understand the difference between a regular grip and then grabbing in for a false grip. They've started working the pull-up or chest to bar strength with the false grip using their balls. So what we want to do now is we want to put it together. We're going to grab our false grip in the rings. We're going to reduce range of motion. So my elbows, yes, are intentionally bent. But what I want to do is I want to pull in and I want to actively press with using as little leg support as possible, dropping back down on top of the rings and back into my starting position. If an athlete can successfully do that using their strength of their upper body, pulling and pushing muscles, then we're gonna take the clip and we're gonna allow them to move it up one segment. An athlete can then start to count, okay, I'm one segment above the rings. As they get more advanced, we will move the rings up so many segments and they can keep track of their segments. Because what we wanna eventually do is we wanna get them as vertical as possible. Again, they're still gonna be grabbing their false grip, and once they get themselves good and vertical, what we should start to see is enough pulling strength to transition and press, right? At the point at which they have the transition strength to pull and press, then that's when the athletes can start to attempt the false grip muscle up from the hanging rings. Now, one of the big prerequisites in athletes is we need to see straight arms. If they do not have the strength to hold a false grip with straight arms, they do not need to be attempting false grip ring rows from the top. Meaning, you can grab on the rings and you can start with bent arms here. But I should be able to transition to straight arms before I press and pull through, or else I don't have enough mobility to actually be on the rings, extending my body. So exercise number 4 is working ourselves up the ring, keeping track of how many segments we are until we progress to the actual rings overhead.